Well, good morning. This is going to be a trip to work. I gave you the nighttime tour the other day, a few weeks ago, so I thought I would let you see from beginning to end what my view is like as I go to work. There's a church across the street. This is the front of my building. Way in the distance you can see the top of the Washington Monument. This is in the road right in front of my apartment. Over here is the Scottish Masonic Temple. I think I'll get a slightly different view of that, but it's a very cool building to have next door. So as I said, I'm walking to work this morning, and what's unusual about this is that it's Saturday. And I'm not going into work, I am just going in so you can see the trip. And I decided to do it because of Hurricane Sandy, because I wanted to get some blue skies in the background. And when I woke up this morning, the sun was shining, although it looks like it's starting to cloud up a bit. But I just wanted to give you a feel for it, and there's points in it when having a blue sky would be really cool. So we'll just see how the trip goes. Now normally what happens is that I take the metro into work, but I've been noticing that I've let myself get out of shape again. I'm not happy about that, so I decided to start walking to work as much as I can. And it's a good thing because the trip is 5.5 miles, so it takes about an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes or something to do. The bad thing is it's 5.5 miles. A lot of churches along the way. One of my other concerns was that after the hurricane, all the fall colors will be down. Now in DC, we don't get a lot of fall colors, but we get some, and hopefully there'll be a few more as we go to show you. I'm walking on 15th Street. I live on 16th Street. Normally what I do is cross over a block, and then I can walk all the way down to the Memorial Bridge, which I'll show you in a bit. What you'll see. This is the Grace Reformed Church, and I think we're all glad that Grace Reformed. I always like these kind of buildings where this old townhouse, probably 100, 150 years old, something like somewhere in that neighborhood, is kept, and they build the modern building all around it. This is pretty cool. This is the Washington Post. This is where they publish. I like this display window they've got here. It's campaign posters from past presidential elections. So we're walking a little closer. People daring to walk through my shot. The nerve. This is one of the little oddities here in DC. We've got a number of these parks that you'll see coming up here. And these parks are kind of like roundabouts, sort of, although, you know, it's basically a square. But you see, we're going on 15th Street, right there, runs down there. Going to cut diagonally through this park. And right now there's construction going on in the park. They're refurbishing things, so that's why the fencing is up. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but it's actually a fairly nice park. A fair amount of homeless people that stay in places like this. I actually think this is one of the parks where when the big protest movements were happening last year, this was one of the parks where they camped out. We've now crossed to the other side of the park, and the oddity of it is if you see the sign across the street there, the sign right there, we crossed diagonally through a park. We were on 15th. We are still on 15th Street. I don't remember my geometry all that well. I'm not quite sure how it works, but in DC, that's the way it is. It's kind of pretty. I wish there were more colors, but on a fall day, you see the leaves coming down. Traffic, since it's not a work day, is very light for the most part. And it's just a relaxing day. You see people eating brunch here. It's got a nice. For those of you who don't like lawyers, well, we're in DC. That means we are in the heartbed of lawyers, and in fact, building in front of me is the American Bar Association, which is ground zero. Okay, I'm cheating a little bit here. I'm off of 15 for a second. We're going to take a slight detour that I would never ordinarily do. And just show you a little interesting site. Now this is, you see these posts up here. This actually used to be a through street, but back in, I think it was the 80s, maybe the 90s, maybe it was when Clinton was president, there was a guy who tried to set off a bomb in a pickup truck. Had a bunch of old farm stuff that he had maneuvered into a bomb. And so these have gone up ever since, so you cannot, you can't really even get a tank through this place. It's very well secured. And you kind of, the drivers don't necessarily like it, but for pedestrians, it's really a cool thing. This is the Treasury building. And it's actually a building that you guys have seen a ton of times. You may not realize it, but if you look on the back of, I think it's your $5 bill, this is the building that's pictured. And right now we've got a street hockey game going on. And I better get moving because I'm sure they're going to want me to play because I'm all athletic and stuff. The reason for this little side trip is this, or what this represents. This is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, one of the more famous addresses in the world. And in just a second, you'll see what it is. It's all that suspenseful, but yes, this is the White House. And the sky never did really turn blue. There's some sunshine, but oh well. So it's always nice. This is basically a 20-25 minute walk from my house.